Welcome. Namaste. Thank you for joining me here for an hour of balancing yin and yang. And today we'll start really slowly and then build up the practice into a more vigorous movement. So we'll start lying down. You may or may not want to put a blanket underneath you. I just like to have a little softness under my sacrum and spine and head. And you again place your feet a little bit wider than your hips and your knees together. So knees are bent. And with the feet apart and knees together, it's a nice, easy position for the lower back. Your arms can rest by your sides, or you can rest your hands on your belly. You're welcome to close your eyes or have a soft gaze. And take a moment to settle into the ground. To feel your feet, and feeling the knees together, noticing the back of your pelvis, your spine, the back of your head, your shoulder blades on the ground. And can you settle into a sense of ease? And so there is little to no effort to be here. And to actually be here rather than do here. And also be here rather than somewhere else. And then heel toe your feet together and a little bit away from your knees coming out to the sides in a butterfly. You're still on your back. So let there be a nice space between your groin and the heels. If this feels too intense, you can always place blocks under your knees. And then imagine that you could settle any thinking, any busyness in your mind into your center, into your lower belly. And so imagine that as you inhale, you draw thinking and busyness from the mind into your heart. And on your exhale, let it descend further down into the lower belly. So you inhale from your head into the heart. And you exhale from the heart into the lower belly. And continue to breathe like that a few more rounds. Really imagining that you're drawing any busy thinking, anything that hasn't anything to do with right here, to bring that down into the center of your body and have it recycled, released. So repeat that for 2 more rounds, breathing from the head into the heart on the inhale, and on your exhale from the heart into the lower belly. And as you return to your natural breath, notice if anything changed in the quality of your mind. In the state of your beingness. So we'll stay for a little longer in this shape, the supine butterfly. So see if you simply can connect with your natural breath as it flows in and out. Being with this moment as it unfolds, without resistance, letting go of the desire for things to be any different than they are. And taking 2 more nice deep breaths here. And then use your hands to slowly bring your knees back up. Just placing your feet on the floor. One hand on your heart, one hand on the lower belly. Setting an intention for your practice today. What brought you to your mat? And reminding yourself to always practice honoring your body, mind, and heart where they're at. Practicing with a foundation of loving kindness. So that when we take care of ourselves, we're better able to take care of others. So that our practice doesn't only serve ourselves, but also those around us. And eventually, all beings on the planet. Take a nice deep breath in. And let it go with a sigh. And placing arms by your sides, having your feet hip distance apart, parallel, and ankles under your knees. Then begin to tilt the pelvis forward as you inhale. So the pubic bone moves towards your toes. So you're arching your lower back. And on your exhale, you tilt the pubic bone towards your rib cage, rounding the lower back, but your hips stay down the entire time. So inhale, tilting the pelvis forward, arching the lower back. And as you exhale, tilting pelvis back, rounding the lower back. But it's very subtle. So the movements may be very small here. So it's just this really intricate movement of the pelvis, tilting forward and back. So finding this gentle movement in the lower back, in the hip creases. Without strongly engaging any muscles, just a soft balancing back and forth of all the bones of the pelvis. Let's do that one more time, inhaling, tilting the pelvis forward, and exhale, tilting the pelvis back, and then coming back to a neutral spine. And press into your right foot so that the right side of your pelvis moves towards the ceiling a little bit without actually lifting the hip. And then exhale, release, and press into the left foot, and the left side of the pelvis shifts up towards the ceiling a little bit. So you continue to move the pelvis, hip bones moving towards the ceiling. So if you were standing, one hip would slide forward and the other hip would stay neutral. But the hips stay down on the floor the entire time. So again, it's very subtle. Imagine these two sides of the pelvis. The ilium looks a little bit like an elephant ear. You're moving them individually. And they're held together in the back by the sacroiliac joint, and in the front by the pubic symphysis, the little tiny joint below the pubic bone. And then pause, and now we're going to combine these two movements so that you're drawing circles with the back of the pelvis. So you inhale, you tilt the pelvis forward, then you roll it over to the right, your left hip bone comes up a little bit, and you roll to the back, the right hip bone comes up a little bit. And then you continue to circle like that. So imagine a clock face on the back of your pelvis, and you're rolling around all the numbers of the clock. The knees stay still as best as you can. Your hips still don't lift off the floor. So really subtle, gentle massage for the lower back. And now see if you can go in the opposite direction, counterclockwise, or whichever direction is the reverse. So it may not feel like much is happening, but this is a really effective way to Loosen tension in the hip flexors, in the muscles in the lower back. And one more circle. And then coming back to stillness, coming to a neutral, noticing how your lower back feels right now. And then bring your feet as wide as your mat. Your arms out to the sides, away from your shoulders. Palms facing up. And then with the fingers extended away from you, turn your left palm so that the palm moves, let's say the little finger comes up and the thumb moves down towards the floor. So you turn your palm in the direction of your crown, or in the same direction as the crown points, and then the other hand turns in the other direction. So you turn it forward, thumb down and little finger up. So you have a little corkscrew movement in the arms. And then the knees go out and over to the right. Now inhale, bring the knees to center and over to the left as you turn your hands, your arms the other way. And so your hands turn in opposite directions, keeping the arms straight. So they're making this corkscrew movement from one side to the other as your knees move from right to left and left to right. And so there are two different movements going on here, actually three, because the arms are each doing something different, and then there's the legs. So make sure that you continue breathing. Keeping the arms extended, turning them one way and the other. As the knees go from side to side, make sure your feet are as wide as your mat, so it's really easy on the lower back. And then the next time your knees come over to the right, pause there. Relax the arms so the palms can just face up. Just letting the left knee hang. Relax the left shoulder. Nice deep breaths. And then inhale, bring your knees up and exhale them over to the left. The arms still are in neutral. Now the right knee hovers but relaxes. The right shoulder grounds. And as you inhale, slowly bring your knees back up, arms by your sides, heel toe your feet back in line with your hips. And then make sure that you have a block within reach. So you don't need it right now, but have it close by. Feet are hip distance again, ankles under your knees, feet parallel, arms by your sides. And as you press into your heels, begin to lift the pelvis off the floor, engaging your glutes, quads, inner and outer thigh, hamstrings. And as you exhale, slowly roll the spine down to the floor. Relaxing the toes, press into your heels to lift up, so let the glutes engage to come up. And exhale, slowly roll down one vertebra at a time. So your bridge doesn't have to be very high. Just being mindful of the muscles that need to engage to lift you up. and how you keep them engaged when you lower down. Using the breath, inhaling to come up and exhaling to come down. Let's do 2 more. And then as you come down, reach for your block. And you're going to lift the pelvis again. And this time you slide the block under your sacrum and lower the back of the pelvis on the block. So you're in a supported bridge pose now. Walk your feet a little wider than your hips and let the knees lean into each other. So they won't touch, but just so that the legs can relax. We're going to be here in this supported bridge for a few minutes. Arms can be by your sides or a little bit further away from your body. Or you could even bring them overhead if that felt good to get a little opening in the chest. So whatever works for you. Allowing the pelvis to be really heavy. It's really low under the spine, so no moving vertebrae on that block. And certainly wouldn't put the block too high. Just let it be easy or relatively easy. So no forcing of the spine here. And you could also instead walk your feet a little further away from you. You don't even need to have your legs all the way straight. You can experiment a little bit with the placement of your feet and legs. Just noticing what feels appropriate. But then once you've found a position, become still again, so you're not fidgeting. Just being here. Just noticing breath as it flows naturally in and out through your nose. And if you notice thoughts coming up, you could come back to the breathing into the heart and the lower belly if you found that helpful. Just simply imagine how the thoughts dissolve like clouds on a hot day. And take 2 more slow, deep breaths here. And then carefully heel-toe your feet back in line with your hips, ankles under your knees. Then engage your glutes, engage your core, so your lower back and your sacrum, sacroiliac joint are really stable, and then you can lift your hips a little, remove the block, and keeping that engagement as you slowly lower down, hips back on the floor. And then you can straighten your legs and take a moment to notice how that whole pelvic region feels right now. And then from here, carefully roll onto your belly. Resting your head on your hands, forehead on your hands. And engage your legs, so your feet press down into the floor. The kneecaps are probably coming away from the floor. Your tailbone reaching for your heels. And engaging your core, so your belly button is perhaps lifting away from the floor as well, but if your hips stay down, shoulders, head stay down. Now from that engaged position, as you inhale, lift your right leg off the floor, and as you exhale, lower it down. So inhale, right leg lifts, and exhale, lower it down. And as you lift and lower your leg, make sure that it is your glute that engages to lift the leg, not the muscles in your lower back. So if you're not sure, you could even put your hand on your buttocks and feel the glute engage before you lift the leg, relaxing the muscles in the lower back as best as you can. Let's do 3 more of these. And then as the right leg lowers, both legs stay engaged, the core stays engaged. Now lift the left leg. Engage the glute to lift the leg, exhale, lower it down. So it doesn't have to come up very high. See if you can really isolate the movement, the engagement in the glute before you lift. Let's do 3 more. And then lower the leg, release the engagement. You can sweep your heels from side to side a few times. And then as you come to stillness, engage your legs again. So pressing the feet down, kneecaps are probably away from the floor, tailbone reaching for your heels. And now on your inhale, lift both legs up from the engagement of the glutes and exhale, lower them down. Inhale, lift the legs, and exhale, lower them down. They don't have to come up very high. And you may notice that it's perhaps easier to engage one glute versus the other. We're usually a little unbalanced in our body, so sometimes It requires some more thinking to engage the muscles on one side of the body than the other. So see if you can feel that. And 2 more, lifting the legs. And then release the legs. Now bend your knees and you can window wipe the feet from side to side a few times. You can go crisscross or from side to side. And then let the legs come down to the floor again. Strong, engaged legs, engaged core. Bring your hands wider than your mat onto your fingertips. So your hands are away from the mat, in line with your shoulders, elbows pointing up, keeping your head down. Legs are engaged, so when you lift the elbows, you may notice that the shoulders roll forward. Roll the shoulders back and keep your elbows pointing to the ceiling as best as you can. And then as you inhale, begin to peel the spine off the floor, pressing into your hands, keeping your elbows wide. As you come up and then lift the chin at the end. And as you exhale, roll the spine back down to the floor. Legs stay engaged, collarbones wide. Inhale, begin to peel the spine off the floor, keeping your head down. Only at the end, the chin comes parallel to the floor. Elbows are wide. Exhale, lower down. Keep your legs engaged the entire time. A few more like this. Shoulders roll back, then you roll the spine up. And then the chin comes parallel to the floor and exhale, release down. Let's do 2 more. And then slowly relax the head down onto your hands. Taking a moment to release the muscles. And then bring your hands under your shoulders. Come onto your hands and knees. Maybe fold your blanket under your knees. Hands under your shoulders and knees under your hips. And as you inhale, round your spine, let the head hang. And as you exhale, lift the sits bones, arch your back. Lift the chin slightly. And as you inhale and you round the spine, press the floor away with your hands. Press your feet down into the floor. Lift the belly button away from the floor. And as you exhale and you arch your back, imagine that you're pulling your hands back to widen the chest, moving the arm bones back. And so as you continue to move the spine, notice the other parts of the body that are participating here to really make these movements as effective as possible. And as you move, relax your jaw. One more here. And then coming back to a neutral spine and reach your hips back into a child's pose. Rest your head on the floor. Gentle stretch for the lower back. And from your child's pose, come up onto your knees and into a kneeling position. So you're coming Up with the buttocks, reach your arms out and up. As you exhale, arch your back, pull your elbows into your waist, your heart lifts up towards the ceiling. Inhale, straighten up, arms reach up to ceiling. And exhale, dive forward, arms sweep around, slide forward into a child's pose. Keep your hands where they are, inhale to your knees. And exhale, curl the toes, downward facing dog. Keep the knees slightly bent, take a breath here. Exhale, lower your knees down, arch your back, keep the toes tucked. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, kneeling, arms reach out and up. Exhale, arch your back, elbows pull in. Lift the heart. Sits bones move back. Inhale, straighten up. Exhale, arms reach around as you come down to a child's pose. Slide the arms away from you, hands down. Inhale to your knees, keep your hands where they are. Exhale, downward facing dog, knees slightly bent. Inhale, knees down, arch your back, keep your toes tucked. Exhale, child's pose. One more round like this. Inhale to your knees, arms out and up. Exhale, arch your back, elbows in. Inhale, elongate. Exhale, dive forward, hands down, child's pose. Inhale to your knees and exhale to downward facing dog. Knees slightly bent. Take a moment here to stay still to start. Nice long spine, so bend your knees so you can lift the sits bones up towards the ceiling. You can bend your elbows if needed, but press the floor away. Widen the collarbones, knit the front ribs together so that the shoulder blades on the back can stabilize. Two more nice deep breaths. And then slowly walk your hands towards your feet into a forward fold, and you can bend your knees as much as you need. Let the head hang. You could either stay still or grab your elbows and gently sway from side to side, whatever feels appropriate right now. Relax your head. So the neck is released. And then as you come to stillness, you may like to take a block in front of you. So you have a little bit of a lift where you can place your hands on. So keeping your hips over your knees. Inhale, elongate the spine. As you exhale, reach the right arm to the right, twisting to the right as you bend your left knee. Opening the right arm. Inhale, come to center, hands come down, left leg straightens. As you exhale, twist to your left as the right knee bends. Spine is nice and straight, left arm reaches up to the ceiling. Inhale, coming back to center, spine stays nice and straight, straighten the leg. Exhale, left knee bend as you twist to your right, right arm up. So continue like this. Inhale to center. And exhale, you twist and you bend the opposite knee just to create a little more space to facilitate this twist. As best as you can, keep your spine straight. If you can, have it parallel to the floor. One more time to each side. then coming back to center. Let the head hang again. Bend your knees as much as needed. But keep your block where it is for now. And so that you can straighten your legs and still have your hands supported so they're not hanging in the air. So your spine may come up a little bit. Now really strongly engage your legs. Begin to round your lower back, drawing your tailbone to the floor, keeping the legs engaged and straight. Slowly and carefully begin to stack the vertebrae of the lower back. So you're rolling up slowly, slowly. The upper back. Then your shoulders stack over your hips and eventually the head comes up. And then once you're upright, take a moment to pause here. You can close your eyes or lower your gaze. And just notice how it feels to stand. Noticing your feet on the ground. Noticing your breath. And then look down for a moment, making sure that your feet are hip distance and parallel. And as you inhale, bend your knees, coming into chair pose. Arms stay parallel to the floor. Now really stick your buttocks out and lift the sits bones slightly, but engage the core. So the knees stay somewhat over your ankles rather than coming forward a lot. So you really turn on the glutes here. The weight is in your heels. Take a nice breath in. Maybe lift the arms a little higher, but if that doesn't work for your shoulders, keep them parallel. Exhale, sweep the hands back. Inhale, straighten up, reach the arms up to the ceiling. And as you exhale, bend your knees slightly, fold forward. Head comes down towards the floor. Inhale, bend your knees, weight in your heels, arms come parallel or a little higher if that works for you. Exhale, sweep the hands back. Inhale, straighten up. And exhale, fold forward. Again, inhale, chair pose. Really engage your core here, stabilize the lower back. Exhale, hands sweep back. Inhale, press into your heels, squeeze the buttocks to come up. Exhale, fold forward. One more like this. Inhale, chair pose, weight in your heels. Exhale, sweep the hands back. Now use your glutes to come up to stand. Arms lift up. Exhale, fold forward. And then walk your hands all the way forward into a downward facing dog and take a moment to walk in place, straightening one leg and then the other. And stretching out your calves. And then when you come to stillness, you may lower your knees to the floor for a moment so you can put both your blocks at the top of your mat. And then once they're there, come back to your downward facing dog. And on your next inhale, step your right foot forward between your hands into a lunge and let the hands come onto your blocks on either side of the front foot. And you can make the blocks as high as needed so that you feel you have space here between the right thigh and your belly. Now press down into the right heel to engage the right glutes, but make also sure that the left glutes are engaged. And as you press into your right heel, begin to lift the hips by straightening the leg, but let the right glute work to lift up. And as you exhale, lower down or bend the front knee rather. So inhale, the front leg straightens, the right glute is engaged and stays engaged as you exhale and you bend the front knee. So continue like this, and moving slowly and really focusing on the muscles in your glutes on the right and the left, so that the pelvis stays stable and SI joint in a neutral position. So one more inhale and exhale, coming back to your lunge. Press down into the right heel. Really feel the right glute turn on. Hug the left glute in. Back leg is strong. So make sure that all your weight is in your legs and there's no weight in your hands. The spine is in elongation of the back leg. So the spine is just up only a little bit. And then reach the arms forward. Glutes turned on. Press down into your right heel to turn the right quadriceps on. Widen the chest, pull the belly button back. Super strong legs. Take one more breath. Exhale, lower your hands to the floor and step back to downward facing dog. Knees slightly bent. Nice long spine. Pull the hip creases back. And on your next inhale, left foot steps forward, ankle under the knee, back leg straight, hands on your blocks, straight under the shoulders. Engage the right glute, but also the left, so press down into the left heel. As you inhale, you begin to straighten the front leg, keeping the left glute engaged. And exhale, bend the front knee. Again, inhale, the front leg straightens, the left glute engages, and exhale, bend the front knee. So what I'm noticing here is that my left glute is much harder to engage than the right. So sometimes the brain is not fully connected to the muscle that we want to engage, and then there is a disconnect. The muscle doesn't fire properly, and that creates imbalance in the body. So we can retrain the muscle and the brain to connect, to talk to each other, and so that the muscles fire properly. So one more like this, lifting the hips. Exhale, front knee bends. Press down into the front heel, turn on the left glute, engage the right glute, super strong legs. Your spine is long. Now the only thing you do is you extend your arms forward. The spine is in line with the back leg. Glutes are firing. Nice and wide in the chest. One more breath. And exhale, lower your hands. Step back, downward facing dog. Deep breath in and sigh it out. And then walk your feet a little bit forward and your hands a little bit back so you end up in the middle of your mat. Let your head hang. And bend your knees. And with the knees bent this time, rolling up, stacking the vertebrae. And as you come up, you straighten the legs. Notice your feet on the ground. Notice your breath. Now, after all this really precise work, we're just going to shake it out. So with your feet at a nice comfortable distance apart, knees bent, just begin to bounce up and down, shaking out any tension of in your body, any thoughts that may be stuck, perhaps any emotions that have been stuck, and you can make this as vigorous or as gentle as you like. So you can make this small. You could let the heels come off the floor. You could jump up and down if you like, if that worked for you. But let there be some form of shaking in your body. Relaxing all the muscles that could be relaxed here. Exhaling through the mouth now and then. Letting go. Shake out your shoulders, maybe even your head if that feels okay for your neck. Shake out your hips. Maybe even bring your arms overhead. Shake out your shoulders again. Make sure that your wrists are loose as best as you can. And maybe shake out one leg. And then the other leg. Continuing to shake and breathe out through your mouth. You could use some movements and sounds to relax the face. So some horse lips are always great. Really shake it out. Maybe even start to jump a little bit. You could do some twisting if that feels good for your back. Keep it easy. Just a little bit longer. All right, give it one more extra shake. Let it go. And then come to stillness. And notice sensations in and around your body. Just expansion of chi, blood flow. If your eyes are closed, slowly open your eyes, and then your choice, you could either lie down or come to sit to end your practice here. So either seated or lying down, both is great, whatever feels appropriate for you right now. Just letting this practice settle. And so, a very subtle practice today, a specific work for the lower back and the health of the sacroiliac joint. And then noticing the effects of the shaking at the end. There's nothing you need to do right now. lying down, you can stay here as long as you like. But when you feel ready, slowly invite some gentle movements into your body. And then eventually carefully finding your way up to sit. And once you're seated, close your eyes just for another moment. Noticing the effects of this practice. And bring your palms together in front of your heart and bow your head as a gesture of gratitude towards yourself for taking the time to practice today. And also as a gesture of offering the benefits of our practice to all beings. Thank you so much for joining me here today.